Hey guys, this is Billy from adultcello.com, and today I want to share some advice I have for a very, very common bow hand problem, okay? I get written in messages all the time, and when I do my kind of Facebook challenges, this comes up in the Q&A sections all the time, and it's basically help whenever I play, my thumb slips through on my right hand, on my bow hand, and there's nothing I can do about it. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. Do you see my thumb has left its traditional position for where you hold the bow, and now it's just poking through basically to where my other fingers would be if I put my fingers into a normal bow hold position. Okay, so it's this kind of U-shaped section here. The thumb just slides right into there. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about today. So I wanted to actually make a video about this because it's such an incredibly common problem. I had it myself when I was starting out for a little bit. And then also it's a very, very important issue to address as early on as possible. So just so you know, if you don't address this issue, some of the things you can unfortunately look forward to is a lot of discomfort and probably stamina issues because you'll be burning out the muscle in your thumb, and that'll limit how much you can play. And then also that kind of a clamped thumb position where it's engaging all the fingers in the wrong way is going to limit your ability to do advanced bow techniques, and it's also going to limit your ability to pull that rich, open, beautiful ribbon of sound that drew you to cello in the first place. So let's talk about why this happens. I like to talk about the why with adult learners because that's usually where the aha moment actually occurs. It's not just a mechanical solution, but like understanding why the thumb ends up there. Okay, so the thumb sliding into that little U-shaped section of the frog. Mechanically speaking, it's a reaction to just too much pressure in the hand. Okay, so and that's from basically a clamping type of bow hold where you have the thumb pushing into the stick on one side and that engages the fingers, and then the fingers are squeezing and you get this kind of concrete bow hold that's very stiff. And the reason the thumb slides is that basically you have more and more pressure of the thumb pushing into the stick, and then there's basically nowhere for it to go. So it just kind of starts sliding down from all that extra pressure. So that's the mechanical side of things. Mentally speaking, the issue comes from thinking of sound production in kind of the wrong way. So a lot of us were thinking, okay, the cello's below me, I have my bow here, I want to make a big sound, so I'm going to kind of like send my energy downwards into the string. Okay, and so you get this feeling of like pushing down the string and then moving horizontally. Okay, and as I'll explain coming up, that actually encourages the clamping mechanism, because if you're sending all your energy and kind of pushing down the string, if you don't clamp to a certain degree, the bow would actually probably just fall onto the floor. Okay, all right, so now let's talk about the solution. Here's what the solution isn't. Because one of my first teachers told me this, and it didn't help, and it was very frustrating. The solution isn't to simply relax, okay? If you just try to basically like undo all the sensation you have in your thumb, you'll have a very weak bow grip, and you'll still be sending the energy downwards, and then the bow is just basically going to slip out of your hand when you start playing. Or even if you can manage to hold onto the bow, you're going to have very limited mobility with it because it's just going to be flopping all over the place and you won't be able to make a good sound. So the solution is to change the way you sink weight into the string by changing your mental idea of how to draw sound from the cello. All right, so I'm going to introduce now a couple exercises. The first one is a little strange, but let's do it. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is remove your bow from your bow hand and just place your right hand on your right leg around kind of the knee area. And then I want you to imagine you've had a nice relaxing day by the lake and you got bit by some mosquitoes and it's really itchy. Okay, so what we're gonna do is just with our four fingers, we're just gonna kind of scratch our leg only towards us. Okay, so it's not just like that, but so just scratching our leg, and the mosquitoes really got you. So you really got to kind of get in there, but you don't want to, it's not to the point where we're like breaking skin. Okay, so, but we're just nice heavy fingers scratching towards us like this. Okay. And if you see, I've got a pretty relaxed hand. You could even, if you want to get really nerdy about this, if you look at this row of knuckles as I sink, the knuckles are like flexing. So I have a very relaxed hand. It's not tight, but I'm sinking a lot of weight into my skin to get to those mosquito bites. Okay? All right, some things to notice is that you can sink weight into your fingers and have pretty, kind of relaxed, heavy fingers that are still like good at scratching, but you're not just simply pushing down into your leg, you're pulling. That's the scratching motion, is pulling towards you, okay, with heavy fingers. But with relaxed fingers that are heavy, and also you probably noticed, hopefully, that your thumb is completely relaxed as well, okay? So it shouldn't be like a hitchhiker thumb pushing out. It should just be kind of along for the ride. So that's basically the kind of sensation we're going to shoot for when we're creating sound on the cello, okay? You could even, scratch your leg a couple more times, really sinking weight into the fingers just to show yourself that you can have relaxed, heavy fingers and a completely relaxed thumb, okay? All right, so that's like the first little exercise to show you kind of the sensation we want for the cello sound production. Let's just remember I said earlier, one of the whys for this, why this happens, is this kind of pushing down to make sound. Let's just analyze what we were doing. We were taking fingers with weight in them, and sinking a good amount of weight with the fingers into the skin as we scratched ourselves, and we weren't engaging the thumb, okay? And that's kind of the exact opposite sensation you would have versus holding the bow and then trying to push down and create sound. That's instantly going to activate the thumb. All right, so we're going to take our mosquito scratching sensation, and now we're going to apply it to another exercise that I've made, and it's on the cello with the bow, okay? And it's called Honey from a Honeycomb. So what I want you to imagine is that the string is kind of dripped in honey, okay? And you're, you want to save it and use it for cooking or whatever. So we're going to take our bow, and we're going to put the hair on the string. I'll do it on the D string just so it's right into the camera. And what I'm going to try to do is scoop up the string, and I really want to get into the string. It'll make a kind of a nasty noise. And what I'm imagining here is that I'm trying to get every drop of honey, so none of it's like skips under the bow. Okay, so now what I'm thinking about is it's the same as scratching the leg. It's the fingers are pulling the bow hair up the string like that, okay? And what you can notice as you do this exercise, hopefully, is that you can send your mind's eye into your thumb, and just it's not going to completely turn off again. I'm not saying relax it completely, but it should be able to completely disengage. Okay, so it's not pushing extra, it's just holding its place. And the fingers are just kind of pulling upwards this way. And the exercise in its kind of final form is 3 pulls. So the first, really into the string. Second, and then the third, you turn it into a bow stroke. Okay? As you do this more and more, eventually you can practice making that kind of horrible scratching sound less and less, and then but still channeling that finger action, okay? So it starts out, you do 1, 2, 3, and then eventually you can practice okay? But even when I did that last version where you didn't hear that horrible scratching, I still was feeling my fingers engaging that way, okay? Which means, fortunately, that my thumb was pretty much disengaged. And so then that's what's going to prevent it from sliding down into the U-shaped part of the bow, okay? And one more final kind of food for thought to leave you with is that if you think about it just in an objective way, you've got your thumb on one side of the stick and the fingers on the other side of the stick, okay? And so if you get into this clamping mechanism, the fingers might still be sending a tiny bit of weight into the string, even though they're too tight and clamped, like I mentioned. But the thumb, if it starts pressing, that thumb is pushing into the stick, and it's actually pushing the stick away from the string. So your thumb's extra pressure that you're doing is sending energy in completely the opposite direction you want for sound production. Okay, so not only is it uncomfortable and eventually painful if you keep doing it and overworking your thumb muscle, but it's just going to be like you're just fighting yourself and it's sending energy completely the wrong way. All right, so it's really, really important to work on. All right, there you go. There's my advice for the case of the slipping thumb on the right hand. I hope it helps, and if you enjoyed this and it helped you, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I'd really appreciate it. See you next time.